Hey there everybody and welcome back. In today's video I'm going to be walking you through how to use something like AppGyver to make an app that has some kind of a background functionality using a platform like Make.com. Now I know that sounds like a lot, but basically we're going to be making a free mobile or web app without needing to know how to code, and it's going to send off information that triggers something. Now you may be wondering, what's the value in this? Well, here are different things that you could trigger. You can select different applications in Make.com that are triggered based on a variety of different functions. So as you're seeing me scroll through here, if any of these look familiar to you, these are quite a few different options of things that you could either automate or do in the background. For example, you could have it send emails or generate PDF documents. There's a wide range of different things that you could do. So, with that being said, this is the quick high-level overview. I'll be putting a link in the description to a much more detailed video where I show how to make a PDF maker, which follows a similar style, but the reason I'm making this video is to show that you can actually build out different functionality aside from what I'm showing you. So let's jump straight in. First and foremost, this is the tip calculator I built in a previous AppGyver video. So all I've really done so far is I've taken this calculate button and I've added one thing. So if you were to start from scratch, really all that you need to know is you can add in a button, and wherever you want to automate some kind of functionality, you're just going to add in an HTTP request. You can get this from the marketplace by typing HTTP and installing this module here just by clicking it and clicking install. So if you've selected your button, you can go over here and you won't find it in this core section. It'll be in the installed area, and you can drag it over just like this and connect it wherever you need to. Now, if you're a little bit confused, I have tons of other AppGyver tutorials, and I'll put a link in the description to a video that has not only a quick high-level overview, but also other tutorials in that video's description. So when we have our HTTP request, we need two things: our URL and then our request body. Technically three things or more if you need to choose your HTTP method and the request body type, but let's walk through this together. So first and foremost, we would go over to Make, and if you click on My Organization, this is your default dashboard. When you go to Scenarios, you can click Create New Scenario, and it'll drop you into something just like this. Now, yours will not have this webhook added, it'll just be empty. So if I right click here and click delete module, this should be what yours will look like. Now, if we click save, we're basically starting from the same place together. So I'm going to click this, and you can click add another module, and you would just type in to try to find whatever your trigger is going to be. This is what starts everything. So if we type in webhook, you'll see that we have this option here, and I'm going to choose the option for webhook receives data. Now we'll add one, and you can call it whatever you want. We can call it hey, for example, and we'll click save. This will immediately give you this URL, which you can copy, and it'll start listening for data, meaning it's going to figure out how to structure data based on what it receives. So we'll go in here, and you'll see that we have our URL. So in our HTTP request, we use the URL. Select post for the method, and then the headers I've left empty, and JSON is the request body type. And then in the request body, this one is something you're going to modify. Now, a typical format would be in brackets. Here is two options. Option 1 is in quotes, semicolon space, and then hello. Option 2, hey. So the idea is this first option, the value 1 is on the left and is separated by the semicolon, and the value for that is on the right. So imagine this is kind of like number 1, which is obvious, and then hello. So hello is assigned to 1. These are kind of like a pair. And then it's separated by commas, so you can add more by adding in a comma and repeating with 3, 4, 5. You can make this whatever you want it to be, just like this. You could add in app variables from AppGyver. There's a ton that you could do. For now, we're just going to click save with that new URL, and we're going to go over here and just click calculate. Now, when we do this, you'll see all of a sudden this screen changed because it received data. So what you can do now is click OK. Now, you may be wondering, how do I basically just change the data structure? When you click this, it'll listen again. Now, if this seems a little bit confusing, you may be wondering, okay, what's happening? Well, we've set a trigger. So when we click this button, data is now being sent, and now you determine what do you do. So you'll click Add Module. So this trigger is the first thing. From that point on, you choose from this giant list of what you actually want to do. For example, if you wanted to click and type in GMAIL for Gmail, and maybe you want to send an email. So you could click any of these options. So we'll choose Send an Email. And here's where it starts to get kind of interesting. You'll notice here we have 1 and 2 from the previous screen. So if we were to choose 1, then it should put the value for 1 here. And for content, you could put 2 here. So an idea would be if you wanted to have a form that says someone's email address and email them a confirmation, then 1 would go here, and that would be their email. 2 would be the content, which is whatever you want to send. Another option is you can just type out the content here, add in attachments, all sorts of stuff. You can also link multiple modules together. Now, once you've finished with this, you can click Run Once. You'll see that it starts spinning. So if I click Calculate, it receives the data, and then we get an error because obviously there's no email that can send. But we can at least check and see, okay, what has actually been received? What's the error? What's happening? So there is quite a bit of information that you can kind of check, and you can click to explain the flow and see things in more detail. Now, if you want to kind of help to build in some error handling, you have a couple of options. So you can right click here and you can unlink, set up filters. You could add in a router that helps. And again, that just makes things a little bit more complex. But you also have the option to right click and add an error handler. What this will do is if, for example, there's an error, you can ignore it. And then that way it doesn't stop every single time. Now, I know that this is a very high-level overview, but again, there's going to be another video in the description. The idea here is if you just want to set up a trigger point, when we click this button, this receives an event or data, then it will trigger this flow. You could think of a couple different use cases like automatically generating PDF receipts or invoices, or maybe sending a user a confirmation email that their account's been created. There's a ton of different options, and you can link tons of different options here. So again, very high level overview. I would love to know what you think. Drop your questions, comments, concerns in the comment box below, and I'll see you all in the next video.